Hello guys, and we are back again with another video. These are random videos and theories and studies from the internet. Some are even fictional, so let's just start.
I have a ghost story. It's the realest thing I've ever experienced in my life. I collect Native American artifacts. And so my buddy and I, we went one afternoon. We find some stuff. I go home, don't think anything about it. I lived in a cabin in the middle of the woods. Went to bed sober. And I woke up, my kitchen window had been unlatched and pushed open. Dude, what? My wife had bought this mirror. And so she and I hung this mirror, looked at it really good, and we're like, okay, good, go to bed. The next day, the mirror's got a giant scratch across the freaking mirror.
What?
So there was 1 week that I woke up every single night at 2:59 on the freaking dot. The last night I woke up, borderline having a panic attack. My heart was racing, I was sweating, and I turned my lamp on, and I put my feet on the side of the bed, and I stand up. When I stood up, something jumped from that balcony to the floor, and it ran through my house. To the point where I grabbed my gun, dude, and I freaking racked that thing, and I freaking vetted my entire house, because it was so real that I was convinced that somebody was in my house. And dude, there was nothing.
So scared.
Dude, there was literally
That is the scariest image.
This is how specific it was. I heard the wood crack from the hands, the pressure, and then a second of pause, and then the thud shook my windows
Like
in
a
my
human size.
1000%. So we didn't tell anybody about this. And my buddy, I finally told him. He was like, man, one night I woke up and my dog was barking. She never barks. And he was like, I woke up and I heard a thud downstairs. He said something had opened his freaking Arrowhead case where his, like, the stuff that he found that day was in his Arrowhead case.
What? Oh my
I swear on my life.
Do you see what I see? This is right now, Christmas weekend, military aircraft over the United States. I've tried to make this video 3 times and it keeps freezing me up in the app. It's never done that before. Last night, Vice President Harris and Uncle Joe decided to cancel Christmas trips and stayed in Washington, D.C. I don't give in to many theories, but this has my interest piqued. As a licensed student pilot, you understand that aircraft tell a story. This is a sub hunter on the East Coast right now. This is a refueler. Another refueler right now over the East Coast. Another sub hunter above New York. Another sub on the East Coast in North Carolina. Christmas weekend, President and Vice President cancel trips, stay in Washington, and this is the most sub hunters I've ever seen up in one day.
What's going on?
What do they know that they're not telling us? There is no such thing as coincidence. Obviously, this is not to put fear out there. This is just saying, hey, something's up, and it's a lot of aircraft that are up right now.
Secrets we are forbidden to share with patients. The last one will shock you. Doing a 48-hour fast with only cabbage soup will completely reset your metabolism. Water with chia seeds is like nature's Botox. This alone could put most plastic surgeons out of business. Greek yogurt with blueberries will clear out all the toxic poop in your body. This mix creates a natural laxative, flattening your stomach overnight. Supplementing iron increases your energy levels by 65%. I'll leave my personal favorite linked on my profile.
3 signs that you've just met a psychopath. So there are 3 clear signs when you meet a psychopath that are typically present in the interaction, in that first interaction. So the first sign is that there is excessive flattery. This individual will typically make you feel like the best you've ever felt. The things they will say to you are the best things you've ever heard. The second sign that you've met a psychopath is that they typically will make you feel like you have a special connection. They are really good at eliciting this we're special feeling, like we belong together, or there's something here between us that's different than other people. The third thing that typically you'll see in an interaction with a psychopath, especially those early interactions, is that they'll often ask you questions that are too personal and are typically considered inappropriate for a first meeting. So they dive right in and they ask you something really personal. And sometimes people think that this is done because they're truly interested or because of that special connection. But this is actually done because they're trying to suss out your vulnerabilities and weaknesses to see how they can manipulate you in the future. Because typically the psychopath will view the world through this like chess game of power. And this is really the only way they know how to function. And so this is the reason for those overly personal questions. It's not that they're actually super interested in you. They kind of just want to know how you tick. And so if you've had these 3 check boxes checked, the making you feel like the most special, amazing person in the world, the asking the inappropriate questions, and this kind of like special like rapport that you have, this special connection all of a sudden, this might be signs that you've interacted with a psychopath. Obviously, we can't say for sure, but they're red flags, so proceed with caution.
Sometimes girls' nights will ruin your relationship.
Honestly, a girls' night out is literally just never a girls' night out.
It's never. Unfortunately, as much as we say it's a girls' night out, it's gonna end up in some deep shit. Chaos. Don't let your girls go out.
Tell me your craziest story about intuition and how it ended up being true. I want to be freaked out. I want to hear these stories and be like, what?
Okay, but you asked for it. We're gonna go back 14 years ago. I had invited my friend over who was supposedly pregnant, just like I was. We were both 18 and I don't know, just everything seemed like normal. The whole reason that she had came to my house was because she wanted to give me baby shower gifts and she wasn't able to make it to my baby shower. What's the harm, right? Well, as the night goes on, everybody leaves my house and it's just me and her. At this point, I start to get all these weird feelings. Honestly, feelings that I can't even explain. She had this gift for me that she stated needed to be shown to me in the dark because it was some type of light that shined on the ceiling for my son. She told me to stand in the middle of my room, turn around and close my eyes as she tried to dig through this bag looking for the present. As that started to happen, I started to have these weird thoughts. It wasn't even just weird thoughts. It was almost like somebody was whispering, telling me what was going to happen before it even happened. So these thoughts or this voice that I was hearing was telling me like, Angelique, you're about to be stabbed. You're about to get hurt. Like, it just kept going over and over and over again. And at this point, I've never had this feeling before. I'm also a teenager. I don't understand what's even happening at this point. As much as I tried to ignore the feeling, I just couldn't. She told me to turn around, sit on my bed, and she got up behind me, put her hand on my shoulder, started to count to 3. She started saying 1, 2, and right when she started to say 3, it was like something told me, stand up. So I got up as fast as I could, ran, and turned the light on. There's a lot of in between, but long story short, she had 2 large butcher knives, a pair of scissors, disinfectant, and had one of everything to take my baby from my stomach. She was going to kill me, perform a C-section on my body to take my unborn child. She then set my house on fire to burn my body with all the evidence. And me and my son are literally alive and here today because of my intuition. If you're ever wondering if you should listen to it, I'm gonna say yeah.
It's hard to even accept that evil like this can exist. At around 10:30 p.m., an officer arrived at Danvers High School and they were tasked with reviewing the school's security footage. Here's what they saw. At approximately 2:54 p.m., Colleen can be seen exiting her classroom, waving at someone, and then walking towards the second floor women's bathroom. And just as she exits the frame, Philip Chisholm can also be seen exiting the classroom and looking both ways down the hall. Colleen then enters the bathroom, and around this time, Philip takes one step back into the room, puts his hood on, and then proceeds down the hall in the same direction of the second floor women's bathroom. And as he enters the frame of the camera just outside the bathroom, you can see him putting on a pair of gloves. And this is very chilling and disturbing, but 11 minutes later, another student, a girl, is actually seen entering the same bathroom, but luckily within a second, she had turned around and left. And when she was interviewed later on, she said that she thought she had walked in on someone getting dressed, so she immediately shut the door. So then less than 2 minutes later, Philip can be seen leaving the bathroom and walking down the halls, then leaving the building. He returns shortly after, and this time he's wearing a white t-shirt and jeans, and he has no hood over his head. And then he runs down the halls back to Colleen's classroom, where he grabs both his and her belongings, along with a black ski mask, which he puts on, and a red hooded sweatshirt, which he appears to drape over the ski mask. Then around 3:15, Philip can be seen wearing that same red sweatshirt with no ski mask on, but now he is wheeling a greenish black recycling bin down the hall. He then enters the women's bathroom on the second floor, the same bathroom that Colleen was never seen leaving, and 5 minutes later he leaves the bathroom with the ski mask on, wheeling the recycling bin out. Philip then wheels that recycling bin out of the building and through the parking lot. And then about 25 minutes later, he is seen back in the parking lot without the recycling bin, and he proceeds to run back into the building without shoes on, where his jeans were very, very clearly soaked in blood. And then after this, he goes into a different bathroom, changes his clothes once again, and makes one final trip to the second floor women's bathroom, where he stays for a minute before just leaving the building.
There's a Bible prophecy about fallen angels that are chained underneath the Euphrates River. So let's get into it. So did you know that there's actually Bible prophecy and it's happening right before our eyes? So in the book of Revelation, it talks about the great Euphrates River in the Middle East. Now it says that in the last days, before God destroys the earth, that this great river is going to dry up. What do you think is happening right now? Exactly this. And this is the current state. But that's not all. The Bible says that God chained up 4 fallen angels, and they are in prison underneath this river. And the moment this river dries up, they will be released, and that they are going to slaughter 1/3 of mankind. So it's only a matter of time before those angels are back on this earth. So if you believe that Jesus is coming soon, I want you to comment below, Jesus is alive.
Jesus is alive.
You're subscribing on this channel so that you can help me get the gospel out.
Same as
and I love you
this
guys.
channel.
I will see you in the next video.
Did you know that the Bible reveals the exact location where the devil lives? Yes, you heard that right. The Bible tells us the precise location where Satan resides and where his throne is permanently established. If you look at Revelation 2:13, it says, "I know where you live," where Satan has his throne. Yet you remain true to my name. You did not renounce your faith in me, not even in the days of Antipas, my faithful witness, who was put to death in your city, where Satan lives. You only need to look at the line right above that to find the location. Revelation 2:12 addresses the angel of the church in Pergamum. The city of Pergamum had its name changed to Burma, which is now a city in Turkey, in the Middle East. According to the Bible, this is where Satan's permanent home is.
The Book of Enoch explained a group of mysterious creatures that fallen angels created today. That's what we'll be covering in the Book of Enoch. You see, the Nephilim giants are not the only hybrid beings that were created. There were also mysterious crossbreeds between animals and humans. Let me explain. The Book of Enoch mentions how the 200 watchers experimented on humans and animals to create monstrous hybrid beings. The book reads, the 200 angels choose animals on which to perform unnatural acts, including presumably humans. 200 donkeys, 200 rams, 200 goats, 200 beasts from every animal, from every bird, from miscegenation. The outcome of the demonic corruption was violence, perversion, and a brood of monstrous beings. They defiled, they begot giants and monsters now. As we can see, the Book of Enoch referred to giants and monsters, meaning there were several different hybrids created during this time, but I really want to point out what it means when these angels gathered these animals for miscegenation. This means there was some sort of reproductive process conducted by the fallen angels, and they used animal and human DNA to accomplish their experiments regarding these twisted beings. These monstrous hybrid creatures have been documented by humanity, but is taken as mythology. But what if it's far more real than we think? The Bible tells us in the days of Noah, there were non-human hybrid creatures known as the Nephilim terrorizing humanity. Let's take a look back in time at some of the most popular half-human, half-animal hybrids documented throughout history. In Greek mythology, there is a being known as centaurs in Greek mythology. The centaurs are a race of creatures that are part horse and part man, dwelling in the mountains of Thessaly and Arcadia. This could very well be one of the outcomes of the Watchers' experiments in the Book of Enoch. This is how these creatures were created. According to Greek mythology, the centaurs were usually said to have been born of Ixion and Nephili. Ixion is a human and fathered these beings, whilst Nephili is a spiritual being. Doesn't this story sound familiar as the story goes? Nephili was a cloud made into the likeness of Hera in a plot to trick Ixion into revealing his lust for Hera to Zeus. Ixion seduced Nephilim, and from that relationship, centaur were created. This is basically the same story of the fallen angels creating the hybrid beings through miscegenation. Miscegenation literally means reproduction through intimate relations. There are also other creatures in Greek mythology that are half human and half animal. They are known as sirens, although most people refer to sirens as mermaids. Now in Greek mythology, They are half bird, half human creatures. And as we know, the Book of Enoch said, the fallen angels took 200 of every bird to genetically manipulate them, which created hybrid creatures. One of the most renowned places in the world that speaks of these hybrid beings is none other than ancient Egypt. As we analyze the hieroglyphs, we see how the gods of Egypt are detailed. For example, Thoth, god of writing wisdom and magic, is depicted as having a bird head and a human-like body. Also, Horus has a similar appearance. As we look at the Egyptian gods, we begin to see nearly all of the gods are hybrids between animals and humans. My question is, were these hybrids worshipped as gods in ancient Egypt? I think it is possible that the creatures created by the fallen angels through miscegenation were worshipped as gods alongside the fallen angels. Since the fallen angels could have just passed the advanced spiritual knowledge to their offspring, making them indistinguishable from an angelic being themselves. As far as spiritual wisdom, one thing we must acknowledge is that the fallen angels in heaven wanted to be worshipped as gods, and they were casted to earth and were being worshipped as gods, along with their offsprings perhaps. Some of these beings are still alive today, which is why creatures such as the Mothman have allegedly been spotted. Mothman in West Virginia, folklore is a humanoid creature reportedly seen in the Point Pleasant area from November 15, 1966. He looks like he's partially a giant moth and partially a man. Two young couples fled the local woods, claiming they'd seen a terrifying creature. They recounted their story to the sheriff and reported that the entity looked human in most respects except for its 10-foot wings and glowing red eyes. Mysterious beings that are believed to exist but haven't been proven to exist have been labeled as cryptids, and these cryptid creatures have been spotted all over the world. However, there is something very important I want to point out about these creatures. They all have something in common for the most part. They all seem to look like hybrid creatures, which is why I made the comparison between the hybrids in the Book of Enoch and these mysterious cryptid creatures. The Bible did mention in Genesis 6:4 how the biblical hybrids existed before the Great Flood, and also after. From this verse, we can further imply that a possible reason we're seeing these cryptid creatures is because they survived the flood. The Great Flood was actually meant to remove these abominations, not necessarily humans. God just knew in order to cleanse the earth, he needed to remove all of the corruption as a whole. These creatures are also known as abominations. God did not intend for these beings to exist, which is why most of them were eradicated, even if we still see small signs of their existence. It's nowhere near as bad as it was in the days of old. These hybrid creatures were terrorizing humanity, and they are even described in the Book of Enoch as demonic beings. The spirits of the hybrids who perished in the Great Flood became what we now call demons. Perhaps this is why demonic creatures such as Baphomet look like a half-human, half-animal hybrid. Actually, now that I think about it, almost every demon that is depicted are all some kind of animal-human hybrid, mainly a crossbreed between a bull and a human. Let me know what you think about that segment in the comment section below. This is the conclusion to this video.
Women are similar to cats. I know a lot of people say women are similar to cats, men are similar to dogs. I have a cat. Anytime I would bring another cat over, do you know how territorial my cat would get?
Yeah.
My cat wouldn't even let that other cat fucking near me. Hissing the entire time. Women are the same way. Women are the same way. They're not going to share their man with another woman.
Nope.
And all those famous people like Conor McGregor, I hate to call him out, with what he's doing, just because his wife doesn't leave him doesn't mean she's not hurt. What happens is over time, they start preparing their escape. How can I get the most money out of this guy while I still can and pretend like I like him, let him cheat on whoever he wants with me? I know, but that comeback's going to hurt because I'm going to take him for all he's worth.
Oh, yeah.
They plan their escape route because they don't want to be with you anymore.
When women leave you, they decided that months ago.
The Chinese economy is on the brink of collapse in just a matter of days.
The Chinese economy is hours away from a complete collapse.
China's economy is only minutes away from a total apocalyptic collapse.
The Chinese economy will completely collapse within a few seconds.
The entire Chinese economy will completely collapse by the time you finish watching this video.
China is still struggling with deflation, which has been rampant for over a year. It's also why the US economy has been growing faster than China's year on year, which puts us far ahead of them. The gap in GDP growth between the US and China is getting wider again, meaning China is not able to catch up to our economy. If this keeps going, China will never catch up to the US.
Chinese economy is near its complete collapse. 500,000 bank accounts with more than $6 billion USD is frozen, and the people are left in the dark. And
this is going to haunt China for the rest of the 21st century. The 21st century will not belong to China. It should and will belong to the United States.
China just built 1 billion empty houses for nobody. These were straight up ghost cities. But I saw them everywhere. I saw them in Hunan in the south of China. I saw them in central China. I saw expansive, behemoth cities with nothing. Boulevards, 6-lane roads going nowhere. I saw metropolises so large that they were damning proof of the ticking time bomb at hand.
Chinese people are thinking ahead,
I saw the most insane structures and monuments to nothing. So why? Why won't they stop building this massive waste? They could house every single person in the country twice over. Now again, I'm gonna ask you, you're probably wondering, right? Why? Why are they still building these? Your real estate crisis is many, many, many magnitudes worse than the USA. I'm talking, you have 1 billion empty homes. That's kind of bad, isn't it? It's a disaster that has been a long time coming. Millions of people have seen their life savings go down the toilet, and for some, it's worse. If you're in the West, you might be shocked to find out how poor China actually is. And let me tell you, it is dire. China's per person GDP is only $12,556 a year. Compare that with the USA's $80,035, and you might start to see through China's propaganda. The USA is actually a full-on luxurious socialist utopia.
because when it comes to investments, they have no other choice. Their stock market has been notoriously volatile, and whilst the global economy has rocketed past pre-pandemic levels and has beaten almost all previous highs, China hasn't even reclaimed their 2008 pre-GFC
These
highs.
are all lies, man.
So when you're saying that China has 10 years to go,
at most.
What do you mean by that?
They don't have the young people to go consumption-led. They're completely dependent on the U.S. Navy to access international trade. They are the most vulnerable country in the world right now. And based on how things go with Russia, we're looking at a significant amount of raw materials falling off the map, specifically food and energy. And the Chinese are the world's largest importer of both of those things. So there's no version of this where China comes through looking good. And the challenge for the rest of us is to figure out how do we, in as smooth and quick as a process as possible, figure out how we can get along without them. Because they are going away. And they're going away this decade for certain.
Well, if you say they're going away, clearly they're not just going to lay down. They're
they'll
going to try to adjust.
Yeah, they'll die.
Right? But
very ugly for the Chinese. And you get a deindustrialization collapse and a famine that kills 500 million people in under a year. And the Chinese know this. They can only push so hard. They're still food importers. They're still dependent on the United States. They're still energy importers.
And what is their plan?
The Chinese?
Yeah, do we have any idea of what their plan to get out of this is?
You try to cut a deal with a country that can help you out, but the only country that could do that is the United States. And the sort of strategic surrender that the Americans would require.
The skyscrapers are empty, the streets are without traffic, and chilling silence emanates throughout the area. These are the scenes of China's ghost cities. These streets resemble abandoned or evacuated cities from a zombie or nuclear apocalypse movie. The whole city feels like a post-apocalyptic space station straight out of a science fiction movie. The whole city is one big investment plan gone wrong. The combination of high taxes and poor construction meant that still nobody wanted to live there. And this is a nationwide problem. In China, there are 65 million empty units, which is enough to house the entire population of France. These empty units could even home at least 25% of its homeless population of 300 million.
America and China are separated by the Pacific Ocean.
One
This is
shaped by
propaganda,
freewheeling
man.
capitalism characterized by a market-driven economy and democratic governance. The other ruled by an authoritarian communist party which maintains tight control over the state's economic and political life. Both are the world's largest economies, but one is surging while the other is stumbling. A number of structural weaknesses have been dragging down China's prospects. Optimism is dimming among Chinese youth. The Chinese stock market is tanking, and foreign direct investment is in free fall as global businesses seek alternatives. Meanwhile, the US is doing really well, with the most dynamic economy and the fastest growth in the G7, a group of the 7 biggest advanced economies. Inflation is down, while jobs, real wages, and productivity are going up. It's impressive how the US has not only maintained, but also extended its dominance over other developed countries. In 1990, America made up 40% of the G7's nominal GDP. Today, it makes up 58%. In terms of purchasing power parity, PPP, the increase is smaller but still significant, going from 43% of the G7's GDP in 1990 to 51% now. America's outperformance has translated into wealth for its people. In PPP terms, income per person in America was 24% higher than in Western Europe in 1990. Today, it is about 30% higher. It was 17% higher than Japan in 1990. Today, it is 54% higher. Compared to China, it is 241% higher. America's economy has grown by about 8% in real terms. During that same time, China's economic growth is slowing, from 8% annually a decade ago to a new normal of just over 4% annually, predicted by the end of this decade. These aren't the only red flags pointing to China's economy slowing down. There are more. China is suffering a double whammy of weak demand at home and abroad. Both exports and imports have fallen sharply since 2021. Adding to the dismal economic mood,
Look at the
people have
difference,
borrowed
man.
less money, marking the lowest reading since late 2009.
So in this video, we're going to take yet another look at China's economic crisis. All the elements of China's wider economic crisis interact with this fact. The deflationary crisis, for example, is in part because Chinese consumers just don't have enough disposable income. The property crisis has been partly caused by the fact that Chinese households don't have enough money, so have to take out massive and apparently unsustainable mortgages. Similarly, China's youth unemployment rate, which the CCP actually stopped publishing data about because it got so bad, is in part a story about educational inflation. But it's also because China's domestic economy doesn't have the strength to create enough jobs. After months of stubbornly refusing to change course despite some pretty bad data, late last month the CCP finally caved. In the immediate aftermath, Chinese stocks slumped, with the CSI falling by about 6% and the Seng Index falling by nearly 10%. And other data in the past few weeks have looked equally gloomy. In late September, for instance, data was published showing industrial profits down 17% year on year, and Chinese consumer confidence has continued to plummet. This means that Beijing knew and still knows that the deflationary crisis is worse than expected.
These are all lies, man. I had to see the military, so so much light in China. Technologically advanced. Just look how beautiful China looks, man. Well planned. Great constructions. Great architecture.
This man disappears after swimming in this cave, but 3 years later the police find him. And what he has become will terrify you. Mark loved diving, but what he didn't know was that his passion would turn his life into a real nightmare. At first, Mark only swam in protected areas, but one day, he decided to explore a cave that was off limits to the public. His friends warned him about the dangers, but Mark was determined to go anyway. That decision was a huge mistake. Mark dove in, but he never came back to the surface. After a few days, he still hadn't returned home, and his car was still parked in the same spot. The police then began searching for him, but his body was nowhere to be found. But one day, Mark's parents received a call from the police. They had found Mark, but he wasn't the same man anymore. He had become terrifying, and what he claimed to have experienced in that cave was just horrifying. Tap the plus and comment dive if you want part 2.
We want to know.
This point is to teach you that you don't always have to lower your prices to get clients. You're going to get clients who really do not care about customer service, who don't care about a lot of things. But in hindsight, they actually do, and they will make your life a living hell. Cheap customers are high maintenance, okay? They are very impatient and can actually be very demanding. Somebody who is willing to cough out their good money because they understand the value within whatever it is that you're offering are willing to be a little bit more patient. So be careful with people who constantly want you to discount, with people who want to buy cheap things from you. And just also as you start a business, being cheap is not the only way to get in the market. There's a lot of ways you can get in the market. And one of them is really just showcase your value. Showcase your value so long, for such a consistent period of time, for people to really know and begin to trust you, and they will eventually buy from you. So
this makes sense.
Yeah, it really does take a lot of effort to sustain a cheap client. Don't do that. I wouldn't advise you to. If you're already there, there's a lot of strategies, and we filmed a couple of videos on this channel that will help you get out of that trap.
Saudi Arabia has proven to us that the Bible is true. Saudi Arabia has now allowed people to go and take pictures of the actual Mount Sinai, where Moses was given the 10 Commandments by God himself. This is the actual picture of the mountain, and next to it, this particular rock caught the eye of tourists. It has engravings of people worshiping cows, which is exactly what happened when Moses came down from the mountain to find God's people worshiping a golden cow. But that's not even the crazy part. The largest rock on the mountain is this rock, which split in half. And according to the Bible, God ordered Moses to strike a rock to make water flow from it, which is why this rock is perfectly and almost entirely split in two. If you believe God is real, subscribe now and we'll keep learning together.
Scientists have recently discovered that the flood from the Bible is in fact real. Scientists have found fossils of fish on top of the Himalayan mountains. Even for the unbelieving scientists, they said this proves that at one point the whole earth was covered in water, thus proving what the scriptures say. If you want to know more about how the Bible is alive and being proven daily by what we're finding through science, follow and subscribe for more.
How can an egg reveal the location of a nuclear submarine? The U.S. Navy's nuclear submarines are some of the most advanced machines in the world, designed to stay hidden underwater for months at a time. But a sub needs enough food to feed their crew for up to 90 days, including hundreds of eggs. But these eggs can come with huge risks that are almost unbelievable. Submarine kitchens work non-stop to prepare meals for over 100 crew members. When eggs spoil, they're discarded just like other food waste. However, if rotten eggs are thrown away uncracked, they can implode when compacted, creating a noise loud enough to be detected by sonar. And once the sub is detected, its location will be revealed to enemy forces nearby.
You're telling me Jesus Christ was from the lands beyond the ice wall, that he was Richard Constantine's firstborn son.
Exactly what I'm telling you. Like I said, after the Constantines discovered and conquered these 7 unpopulated continents within the wall, Richard knew for the doctrine.
We didn't finish watching it. It was interesting. I know you wouldn't, you're not pleased with the ending of this video, but then I was also not pleased how it ended. Was so bad. I needed more information on what I was listening to, but I mean, I still enjoyed it one way or the other. And don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and also share with your friends, and also click on the notification bell icon so that any video that we post, you will be the first to get it. Adios amigos, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.